Hello everyone. Thank you for checking out today's video. I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. Ex-prisoners of Reddit, what was the scariest thing you saw whilst on the inside? I did a couple years when I was young and dumb. The craziest shit I saw was actually in the county jail and not the state prison. The county jail was right on the Texas/Mexico border, so there were a lot of Hispanics. What was weird was the Hispanics born in America and the Mexicans from Mexico absolutely hated each other. I saw a Hispanic from Texas heat up a bowl of water until it was boiling in the microwave. We had microwaves in the tank, and he then proceeded to throw the boiling water on a Mexican from Mexico's face and then beat the ever-loving shit out of him. That dude's screams will haunt me forever. I also saw a guy take a blade from a small pencil sharpener, tie it to a toothbrush, and then slice a guy's face from ear to ear while he was sleeping. The guy lived, but it looked like a fucking murder scene. These are the most gruesome ones I've read so far in this thread, my god. Hair grease. That shit will melt your face off. In some county jails they have 190-degree water taps. They are there so inmates can make oatmeal, soup, or coffee without a microwave or any kitchen appliances. Well, sometimes when there were fights, you would see an inmate fill a cup with 190-degree water and a glob full of Vaseline. Then he would throw it on his opponent. Watching that will stick with me for a while. Mainly the terrible scream the man made as the Vaseline stuck to his face. He was taken to medical right after that. He had third-degree burns all over his face and hands. Seems incredibly dangerous to give violent criminals access to near boiling water. Not me, but my husband was in prison as a young adult. He said that they had a way of checking your ego in the spot he was at. The toughest guys would come up to you on your first day and ask how many push-ups you could do. If you were smart, you would just sort of blow it off, or laugh it off and move on. If you were a stupid show-off, or had something to prove, you would claim a large number, or talk yourself up. If you did that, then they would be all friendly and be like, oh, let's see it. So the poor guy would do as many push-ups as they could. The tough guys would gas the new guy up, acting friendly, pushing him to do more. They acted impressed and joked around. Then as soon as the new guy had done as many push-ups as possible, they would jump him and beat him up. He would be helpless to resist because he had maximumed himself out on push-ups. Afterwards, any guy with an ego was normally really quiet for the remainder of their stay. What if someone responded realistically and humbly with a not that many response? They'd probably leave you alone because you're not acting like a tough guy. Acting like a tough guy gets you jumped. A solid 7. Oh. This guy's alright. With my dick alone. Ass beating commences. A friend of mine did a short stint. From what he told me, he was supposed to get paperwork detailing his charges before he got to prison, but did not. This made the other prisoners suspicious as they believed he was a snitch, was trying to hide that fact from them, and they threatened to beat him. An old acquaintance of his was in there and assured my friend that he had nothing to worry about as they had been threatening him for months and nothing had happened. That night, while my friend was making his bed, a few prisoners ran into his acquaintance's cell and beat him to within inches of his life. They were bouncing the guy's head off of the concrete to the point that my friend could hear it. My buddy says that's the moment that scared him straight. Almost every time I've heard of this, it's to check and see if someone's a sex offender or child molester. A lot of people will proudly pull out their papers on yard once they get into reception for people to see. But from my experience, people don't give a shit and a lot of times never ask to see them. Also, like when I went, you are given your papers at county jail before you are transported to the intake prison. Everybody knows who the chomas are. They're the ones that go to church for madseg. They all go to church. Every one of them. If you've ever seen the HBO documentary Gladiator Days, I was just placed in general population in Gunnison, Central Utah Correctional Facility, in the same section that then had the riot. Later, when the killing took place, it was across the way from us. We could see the whole thing go down through the huge bulletproof glass windows they had between our section, Cedar 1, and the section the killing took place in, Cedar 3. The guards repeatedly ordered us to lock down in our cells, but no one listened. The whole place was on lockdown for several weeks. I saw the documentary almost by accident years later, and it freaked me out. It was like being right back there again. Worst thing I ever experienced. There were other bad things, but this one takes the cake. This was one of the most disturbing documentaries I have seen, and can't get myself to watch that stabbing scene ever again. I spent a couple weeks in county jail. On the first day, when we were all being processed into the facility, strip, bend over, spread your cheeks, and cough, we were told very succinctly to never ever even joke about suicide while in the facility. Kinda like how you just don't say bomb on an airplane anymore. By day 3, I had a good understanding of the other guys I was locked up with. I was physically the biggest of the white guys in our pod, so all the white kids huddled around my table at meals to keep away from the Hispanic folks and the black folks. Yes, there are 3 teams in correctional facilities, whether you like it or not. There was one kid in the group that seemed underdeveloped mentally. He probably had a learning disability among other things, but he essentially acted like a 12-year-old. I knew early on he was going to get himself in trouble because he never stopped talking or moving, and he was rubbing everyone the wrong way. I tried to tell him to chill out and be invisible, but he was not understanding what I was telling him. I had been there a week when the 12-year-old finally lost his cool completely. He was in the shower, singing and joking around, putting on a performance that went too far, and he pooped on the floor as a joke. After the other guys in the shower grabbed their towels and ran, he proceeded to kick the poop all over the walls and into the other shower stalls. I didn't shower for the rest of my stay, truth be told. It turned into a big scene, and then when the trustees came in to clean up the poop all over the walls, it turned into an even bigger scene. The whole time, the 12-year-old was locked in a cell near the showers, laughing and joking as other inmates had to clean up his poop and make the shower area sanitary again. State-run facilities have standards after all. The next day, everyone was looking at the 12-year-old with hate in their eyes. Kinda like Gomer Pyle in Full Metal Jacket. Everyone missed their showers the day prior due to the poopsident, and then the kid was still up to his antics at breakfast the next day. Everyone got really cold toward him, even openly mean. I'll admit, I started ignoring him completely after the poop. It took him a day or two to realize he was hated by all, and then his personality changed dramatically. He became sad, despondent, and started talking to the co's because the other inmates wouldn't talk to him anymore. He fucked up and told the co's that he should just harm himself and make everyone happy, and that was all it took. They dragged out the blue burrito. This is the scariest thing I had seen in jail. The blue burrito was a 10-foot long blue foam mat, like you would use in gym class, with 2 12-foot long red belts attached. They laid it out on the floor, forced the 12-year-old to lay on the mat, and then they rolled him up with his arms at his sides into the blue burrito. The 2 long red belts clipped together at the top and bottom of the burrito, keeping it all nice and tight. This was the suicide protocol at the jail. No counseling, no medical ward. You lose the ability to move. They put that poor bastard in the burrito around 8 PM, dragged him into his cell, and left him laying on the floor, wrapped up tight, until breakfast the next morning. Around 8 AM, the child molesters and gang members in protective custody get to eat breakfast first. Imagine being unable to move, barely able to breathe, with no end in sight for 12 hours on the floor of your 8x8 cell. My cell was up above his, and I heard him weeping and moaning in agony all night. He didn't say a word to anyone, or look anyone in the eye for that matter, for the rest of the time I was there. One night in the blue burrito broke him. I was in jail once waiting to see a judge. They'd moved me to 3 different jails in 3 days for some reason. I wasn't a troublemaker and was only in for driving on a suspended license, but I'm big and scary looking. Anyways, when they transferred me to court, I was handcuffed to someone serving life, and he was Aryan Brotherhood. I'm Hispanic, but look completely white, and have a shaved head. He told me blacks were greenlit, and that I had to swing on sight. If I saw a black man within reach, I was required to fight him, or they would beat or kill me later. It was a scary, and luckily the co's were aware and kept everyone separate until the green light ended. Hey man, you gotta swing at these black guys or we are gonna murder you. Goddamn man, I'm here for a DUI. Exactly. Only worse, I got pulled for expired tags. Lol. Not a prisoner, but a former correctional officer. Saw a dude detoxing from alcohol die. Responded to a maintenance worker stabbing another inmate in the head with a screwdriver. And was involved in containing a riot. In one of my psych classes, the professor said alcohol is the most dangerous drug to detox from. From my experience, yes and no. When I detoxed from alcohol, I had a very bad time. I essentially did not sleep for 5 days, could barely hold in liquids, and had a couple seizures. I was sweating all the time, but also itchy. So tired, but I could not sleep. Threw up maybe 50 times. According to doctors, I easily could have died. And I believe them. After the 5 days, I was hallucinating visually and audibly, and flagged down a police officer for ghost stealing my car. So then I had to spend 3 weeks in a mental hospital, because I had effectively lost my mind. By the end of my 3 weeks though, I was coming out of it. By week 4 I was in a rehab facility, and back enjoying life. Pretty horrible shit, yes. But it does not compare to the empty souls of the prescription drug addicts. They didn't have the symptoms as bad, or maybe as big a chance of death, but their struggle seemed worse to me. By the end of my 30 days and 3 weeks, before at the hospital, I was a new man with the world in front of me. The prescription addicts almost had not changed at all. Still detoxing, still miserable. Empty eyes. Reserved for death. I got out. I was a shit ton of work, but I did it. One other drunk in our graduating class of 90 rehab addicts is still sober. All others went back to drinking. The prescription people are all dead.